He placed his hand on the limestone block and knew exactly how it was cut. Not from studying, from doing. He could feel the tools in his hands that didn't exist anymore, could hear the chanting that moved stones weighing tons, could see the exact angle of the sun on the day they placed the capstone. And when the tour guide said nobody knows how the pyramids were built, he wanted to say, I do, because I was there. Feel the desert heat on your skin. Not modern heat with air conditioning waiting nearby. Ancient heat, the kind that bakes everything. Makes the stone too hot to touch by midday. Makes the sand shimmer like water in the distance. You're standing on bedrock. Solid limestone that's been here since before humans existed. And around you, the sound of thousands of people working, chanting, singing, moving together in rhythm, because that's how you move massive stones without modern machinery. With sound, with harmony, with human voices creating vibration. The sand gets in everything. Your eyes, your mouth, your lungs. But you don't mind, because you're building something that will last forever. Something that will make people wonder. Something that will prove humans can do impossible things when they work together with knowledge that goes deeper than what's written in books. His name is Marcus. He's 58, lives in Chicago, works as a civil engineer, designs bridges and buildings using modern technology, computer models, advanced materials, complex calculations, everything the ancient world supposedly didn't have. But Marcus has a problem. He knows things he shouldn't know about ancient construction, about moving massive stones, about building structures that last thousands of years, not from books, not from documentaries, from somewhere else, somewhere deeper, like memory, but older. It started when he was a kid, 8 years old, school field trip to a museum. They had an exhibit on ancient Egypt, pyramids, temples, monuments, and Marcus stood in front of a display showing limestone blocks and started crying. Not sad crying, recognition crying, like seeing an old friend, like coming home. His teacher was concerned, his classmates confused, but Marcus couldn't explain. He just knew those blocks, knew how they were cut, knew how they were moved, knew the sound they made when they were placed perfectly, knew all of it without ever being taught. As he grew older, the knowing got stronger. He'd see documentaries about ancient Egypt and get frustrated because they were always wrong. The experts saying nobody knows how it was done, saying it's a mystery, saying maybe aliens helped. And Marcus would sit there thinking, no aliens, just humans, humans with knowledge, humans with techniques, humans like me. He became an engineer partly because of this, wanted to understand structure, physics, wanted to see if modern knowledge could explain what ancient people did. And what he found shocked him, because modern engineers can't figure it out, can't explain how stones weighing 70 tons were moved with precision, can't replicate the perfection of the pyramid's alignment, can't understand how it was done without modern tools. But Marcus knows. He's always known, and 15 years ago, he proved it to himself in a way he can't explain to anyone else. He was in Egypt, finally, first time, standing at the base of the Great Pyramid, touching the stones, and something happened. A flash, a memory, a vision, whatever you want to call it. He was there, not as Marcus, as someone else, wearing linen, skin dark from sun, hands rough from work, and he was building this exact pyramid, this exact structure. He wasn't a tourist looking at ruins, he was a worker creating something new. The vision lasted maybe 5 seconds, but it changed everything, because Marcus knew it wasn't imagination, wasn't fantasy, was memory, real memory. From a life he lived thousands of years ago. He tried to dismiss it, tried to tell himself it was just emotion, just the power of standing at such an ancient site, but the knowing wouldn't go away, got stronger, more detailed, more specific. He started having dreams, regular dreams, almost every night. He's in ancient Egypt, working, building, using techniques that modern engineers say are impossible. But they're not impossible. They're just forgotten, lost, waiting in the memories of souls who were there. Last year, something happened that made it impossible to ignore anymore. Marcus was working on a bridge design, complex engineering problem, how to move a massive concrete pillar into place. His team was stuck, couldn't figure it out, too heavy, too awkward, too risky with modern cranes. And Marcus heard himself saying, use sound, use harmonic vibration. If you match the resonant frequency of the material, You can reduce its effective weight. His team stared at him. That's not how physics works. It is, Marcus insisted. Ancient Egyptians did it. They understood that everything vibrates. Everything has a frequency. And if you know the right frequency, you can manipulate matter in ways that seem impossible. They thought he was joking. Or crazy. But Marcus couldn't let it go. He ran the calculations, did the math. And it worked. Theoretically, if you could generate the right frequency, maintain it consistently, coordinate it precisely, you could move massive objects with far less force than conventional methods require. His team was skeptical but tried it anyway. Used industrial vibration equipment, tuned to specific frequencies, and the pillar moved, easier than it should have, smoother than expected, like something was helping, like physics was bending slightly. They made the local engineering news. Innovative technique reduces lift force by 40%. But Marcus knew. It wasn't innovative. It was ancient. It was remembering. It was accessing knowledge that was always there, just buried under thousands of years of forgetting. That's when he found a regression therapist. Someone who could take him back, not just to childhood, but further, to other lives, other times, to ancient Egypt, to the pyramids, to the moment when he was there, when he knew how it was done, when he was part of something humanity still can't fully understand. And now he's here, lying in a chair, eyes closed, breathing deep, about to remember, about to go back, about to be there again, not as Marcus the engineer, as whoever he was when the pyramids weren't ruins, when they were new, when they were being built by people who knew secrets the modern world has lost. The transition is sudden. Marcus feels like he's falling backward through time, through centuries, through millennia, landing hard in a body that isn't his but is his, different but familiar. He's standing in sand, hot sand. The sun is brutal, directly overhead. He looks down at his body. Skin darker than Marcus's, muscular, scarred, hands calloused from years of labor. He's wearing a simple white linen skirt, nothing else, sandals on his feet, a cloth wrapped around his head for sun protection. His name here is Kenti. He's 32 years old, and he's a master builder, one of the architects working on the Great Pyramid, not the designer, not the high priest who planned it, but one of the people who knows how to make the design real, how to turn vision into stone, how to build the impossible. Kenti is at the worksite. The pyramid is about halfway done. The base is complete, massive, perfect. The lower levels are in place, and now they're working on the middle sections. The trickiest part, where precision matters most, where any mistake will compound as they build higher. Around him, thousands of workers, not slaves. That's a myth. These are skilled craftsmen, paid workers, people who chose this work, who take pride in it, who understand they're building something that will last forever, something that will prove Egypt's power and knowledge and connection to the divine. The workers are organized in teams. Each team has a specific job. Some cut stones at the quarry, some transport stones to the site, some place the stones, some do the precise measuring, some perform the rituals, some provide food and water. It's a massive operation, complex, coordinated, more sophisticated than most people imagine. Kenti's job today is overseeing a stone placement, a massive block, about 2.5 tons, cut from the quarry, transported on rollers, now needs to be lifted and placed exactly right, within a hair's width of perfection. Because the pyramid's strength comes from precision, from stones fitting together so tightly you can't slide a blade between them. The stone is on a sledge at the base of the current level. They need to move it up a ramp. The ramp is made of mud, brick, and sand, built at an angle, leading to where the stone needs to go. They'll tear down the ramp later. But for now, it's their road, their way to build upward. Kente checks the ramp, solid, properly angled. He checks the sledge, secure. He checks the stone itself, perfect cut, right dimensions, good quality limestone. This will work. Ready? He calls to his team, 30 men, all experienced, all trained, all knowing exactly what to do. They take their positions, 10 men on ropes attached to the sledge, 10 men with levers ready to help guide, 10 men with water, keeping the ramp wet, reducing friction. But they're not going to pull this stone up the ramp through brute force alone. That's what tourists think. That's what modern people imagine. Thousands of men straining, pulling, using raw muscle. But that's inefficient, exhausting, and not how it's really done. They're going to use sound. Kenty raises his hand. The drummers start. 3 massive drums, made from hollowed logs and stretched animal hide. They beat a rhythm, slow, steady, deep. The sound reverberates through the ground, through the stone, through everyone's bodies. Then the chanters start. 100 voices, all men, all trained, all singing the same tone, a specific pitch, not random, calculated. This tone matches the limestone's resonant frequency. Marcus knows this somehow, knows they've tested stones, know which pitch works, know that when you sing this exact tone at this exact volume, the stone becomes easier to move, not weightless, but lighter. Like physics bends slightly when consciousness and matter sync up. The workers begin pulling, moving in rhythm with the drums, stepping with the chant, and the stone moves, slides forward, up the ramp, smooth, almost too easy, like something is helping, like the sound is doing part of the work. Marcus, watching through Kenty's eyes, feels tears, because this is what he remembered. This is what he tried to explain to his engineering team. This is what modern science can't quite accept, that ancient people understood things we don't, that they used techniques we've forgotten, that they worked with nature and vibration and consciousness in ways that seem like magic but are actually science, just different science, older science. The stone reaches the top. They guide it into place. Kenty checks the alignment, uses a tool made of wood and string. Simple but precise. The stone is off by a finger's width. Too far west. Again, Kenty says. They lever it. Tiny movements, using wooden poles as leverage, checking constantly, until finally, it's perfect, exactly where it needs to be, fitting against the stone below it with almost no gap, supporting the stone above it that will come later. Perfect. The workers cheer. Another stone placed. Another step toward completion. Another piece of the eternal structure. Kenty walks around the worksite, checking other teams, other stones, making sure everything is proceeding correctly. He climbs up the completed levels, stands on stone that was placed yesterday, looks out across the desert, and he can see it, can envision it, what this will look like when it's done. A perfect geometric mountain, smooth white limestone casing, gold capstone catching the sun, a monument that will last until the end of time, a testament to human capability when guided by divine knowledge. The scene shifts. Time passes. Kenty is now at a different part of his work, not at the main pyramid site. At a workshop. This is where the advanced techniques are developed, where the master builders gather, where knowledge is passed down. An older man is teaching. His name is Imhotep, not the famous one, a different Imhotep, named after the legendary architect. This Imhotep is teaching advanced acoustics, how to use sound for construction, how to calculate resonant frequencies, how to coordinate chanting for maximum effect. Every material has a frequency. Imhotep teaches wood, stone, metal, water, air, even the human body. When you know the frequency, you can work with it, harmonize with it, use it. He demonstrates, places a large stone on the ground, has the students gather around it. Now, we'll sing, all together, the frequency I taught you. Watch what happens. They sing, a low, sustained note, perfectly in tune, and Marcus watches, amazed, as the stone vibrates, just slightly, but visibly, the surface rippling, the whole mass humming. If we had enough voices, Imhotep continues, if we sustained it long enough, if we hit the frequency exactly right, we could make this stone float. Actually float. Define what you think of as gravity, not magic. Just understanding that everything is vibration. And when you control vibration, you control matter. Kenty has heard this teaching many times, has practiced it, has seen it work, but he never stops being amazed, never stops feeling gratitude for this knowledge, for being part of a civilization that understands these secrets. The scene shifts again. Kenty is older now, maybe 40. The pyramid is nearly complete, just the top few levels left, and then the casing stones, and then the capstone. But something is changing in Egypt. The knowledge is fading. The younger generation doesn't want to learn the old ways. They think it's too hard, too much training, too much discipline. They want easier methods, simpler techniques. They don't understand that the old ways are better, more precise, more aligned with cosmic principles. Kenty is training apprentices, trying to pass down what he knows, but they're not listening. Not really. They go through the motions, learn the chants, practice the techniques, but they don't understand, don't feel it, don't connect with it the way Kenti's generation did. Why do we have to use sound? One apprentice asks. Why not just use more men, more rope, more muscle? Because brute force creates stress, Kenti explains. Stress creates cracks, cracks create weakness. These structures are meant to last forever. You can't build forever with brute force. You build forever with harmony, with precision, with working with nature instead of against it. But the apprentice doesn't get it. Just nods, pretends to understand, goes back to thinking there must be an easier way. Kenti feels sad because he knows this knowledge will be lost, maybe not in his lifetime, but soon, within a few generations. The pyramids will still stand, but nobody will remember how they were built. Nobody will know the techniques, nobody will understand the science, and people will call it mystery, will invent wild theories, will even say aliens helped, because humans will forget what humans can do when they remember their true capabilities. The scene shifts one final time. Kenti is old now, 65, ancient by this era's standards. He's dying, lying in a simple bed, family around him, and he's thinking about the pyramids, about his life's work, about what he's leaving behind. His grandson is there, 12 years old, showing interest in building, asking questions, and Kenti tries one last time, tries to pass down the most important knowledge. Listen carefully, Kenti says, his voice weak. The pyramids aren't just tombs, they're more than that. They're instruments, tuned to cosmic frequencies, built with mathematical precision that encodes universal knowledge. The dimensions, the angles, the placement, all of it means something, teaches something. If you understand, you can read the pyramids like books, can access wisdom that goes back to before Egypt, to even more ancient times, to the teacher civilization that taught us. Teacher civilization, the boy asks. Before Egypt became great, there was another civilization, more advanced. They taught us, showed us how to build, how to use sound, how to work with cosmic principles. Then they disappeared. But their knowledge survived in what we built. The pyramids are their legacy as much as ours. The boy listens, wide-eyed, believing, and Kenti feels hope. Maybe this one will remember, will carry it forward, will keep the knowledge alive. But deep down Kenti knows, the age of this knowledge is ending. A dark age is coming. Thousands of years when humans will forget, will lose the understanding, will look at their own ancestors' works and call them impossible. But that's okay, because knowledge doesn't really die. It just sleeps, waiting. And when humanity is ready, when they evolve enough, when they open their minds enough, it will wake up again. People will remember, will access past life memories, will channel ancient knowing, will rebuild what was lost. Kenti closes his eyes for the last time, and his final thought is a prayer. Let them remember. Let some soul who was here, who learned this, let them be born again in the future. Let them carry this knowledge forward. Let them help humanity remember what they forgot. And Marcus realizes, he is that soul. He is Kenti reborn. He is the one carrying the knowledge forward. He is the bridge between ancient wisdom and modern forgetting. He is the proof that humans built the pyramids, because he was there. He did it. He knows. The regression deepens. Marcus is pulled out of Kenti's life. Up, away, into the space between lives. And he sees his soul's journey, sees multiple incarnations, many lives. And in several of them, he was a builder, always a builder, always working with stone, always understanding structure and sound and cosmic principles. He sees a life in Greece, building temples with acoustic properties that modern scientists can't explain. He sees a life in Central America, working on pyramids there, using the same techniques, the same knowledge, because it wasn't Egyptian knowledge, it was universal knowledge, taught by the same teacher civilization to different cultures around the world. He sees a life in medieval Europe, a mason building cathedrals, using sacred geometry, using sound, using the old knowledge that survived in secret, hidden in guilds, passed down through initiates, encoded in the structures themselves. And he sees this life as Marcus, born in the modern age, becoming an engineer, not by accident, by design, his soul choosing this path, choosing to work with structure, choosing to be in a position where he might remember, might access the old knowledge, might help humanity rediscover what they lost. He sees the moment in Egypt, standing at the pyramid, That wasn't just emotion. That was his soul recognizing its work, reconnecting with its history, opening the door to remembering. And he sees why he knows what he knows, why he can feel how stones were cut, why he understands acoustic principles that aren't taught in modern schools, why he suggested using sound vibration for his engineering project. Because he's not guessing. He's not imagining. He's remembering. Accessing knowledge he learned thousands of years ago and encoded in his soul's memory. Marcus sees his purpose. He's not meant to prove anything to skeptics, not meant to convince the world, not meant to force people to believe. He's meant to remember, to embody the knowledge, to use it quietly, to plant seeds, to be one point of light in the collective human consciousness that holds ancient wisdom. And as more people remember, as more souls access their past life knowledge, slowly, gradually, humanity will rediscover what they lost. It's not about one person, it's about many people, all waking up, all remembering, all contributing pieces of the puzzle, until the full picture becomes clear again. Marcus feels profound gratitude for being part of this, for being a carrier of ancient knowledge, for being a bridge, for being proof that humans are capable of far more than modern education suggests. And he understands something else. The pyramids aren't the point. The point is human potential, human capability, human consciousness. The pyramids are just an example, just evidence, just a hint at what humans can do when they work together with higher knowledge, when they align with cosmic principles, when they remember who they really are. Marcus opens his eyes. The therapist's office. Present day, but he's different, changed, because he doesn't just believe he was there anymore. He knows, he remembers, he can feel Kenty inside him, can access that knowledge, can trust that what he knows is real. I was there, Marcus says, voice filled with certainty. I helped build the Great Pyramid. I used sound. I used resonant frequency. I used techniques modern engineers don't understand. And it wasn't magic. It was science. Advanced science. Ancient science. Science we forgot. The therapist nods. What will you do with this knowledge now? Marcus considers. I'll use it, quietly, in my work. I won't try to convince people. Won't write papers claiming I remember how the pyramids were built. Nobody would believe me anyway. But I'll use the principles. In my engineering. In my designs. And maybe, without realizing it, other engineers will adopt those techniques. Will find them useful. And slowly, the knowledge will spread. Not as ancient Egyptian secrets, just as good engineering. And that's okay. That's how it's supposed to work. Over the following months, Marcus integrates the regression lives with the memory, tests it, and things shift in his career. He starts approaching projects differently, not just with calculations and computer models, but with intuition, with feel, with understanding that goes beyond what's taught in schools. He designs a building with specific acoustic properties, not for any stated reason, just because it feels right. And when the building is complete, people report feeling unusually peaceful inside it, calmer, more focused, more creative. Nobody knows why, but Marcus knows. It's the proportions, the materials, the subtle harmonics, all designed using principles he learned as Kenty. He consults on a project to move a historic building, massive stone structure, needs to be relocated without damaging it. The team is struggling, too heavy, too fragile, too risky. Marcus suggests something unusual. Before you start moving it, have everyone involved stand around it and hum. Same note. For 10 minutes. I know it sounds strange, but just try it. They look at him like he's crazy, but they try it anyway. 50 workers, all humming, same frequency. And when they start the move, it goes easier than expected, smoother than calculated, like something helped. They write it off as luck, as everything going right for once. But Marcus knows, it's not luck. It's ancient knowledge applied in modern context. He starts teaching, not formally, just mentoring young engineers, sharing insights, planting seeds. Don't ignore your intuition, he tells them. Don't just trust the computer models. Sometimes you know things, feel things, understand things that don't come from education. Pay attention to that. It might be access to knowledge older than modern civilization. Some dismiss him, think he's getting weird in his old age. But others, listen. Start trusting their intuition more. Start experimenting with unconventional approaches. And some of those approaches work better than conventional methods. Marcus writes about his ideas, not about past lives, not about ancient Egypt, just about engineering principles that seem to work but aren't fully explained by current theory, about acoustic properties of materials, about resonant frequencies, about how human consciousness might interact with physical matter in ways we don't fully understand. His papers are published in small journals, niche publications, nothing mainstream, but they're read by people who are open, by people who wonder, by people who sense there's more to reality than materialistic science admits. One day, Marcus gets an email from a physicist. I read your paper on acoustic manipulation of mass. The math checks out. I've been developing a theory about how consciousness affects quantum fields. I think you're onto something. Can we collaborate? They start working together. Engineer and physicist, practical and theoretical, combining knowledge, and they make progress. Small progress, but real progress, toward understanding how ancient people might have done things modern people can't explain. They're not alone. Around the world, others are remembering too. Other souls who were there, who built those structures, who knew those techniques. Some consciously remember, like Marcus. Others just have inexplicable knowledge, intuition that turns out to be right, skills that seem impossible for their level of training. And slowly, gradually, the ancient knowledge resurfaces, not as mysticism, as science, as engineering, as practical techniques that work, and humanity begins to rediscover what was lost, begins to remember what they forgot, begins to access the wisdom of previous ages. Marcus travels back to Egypt, stands at the Great Pyramid again, but this time is different. This time he's not just a tourist, he's a builder visiting his own work. He places his hand on the stone, and he feels Kenti there, not separate. Part of him, same soul, same knowledge, same purpose across thousands of years. Thank you, Marcus whispers to the stones, to Kenti, to everyone who built this. Thank you for the knowledge, for the skill, for the dedication. I'm carrying it forward. I'm doing my part, and when this life is done, I'll do it again, because this is what we do. This is who we are, builders, teachers, carriers of ancient wisdom, forever. He feels a response, not in words, just a knowing, a confirmation. Yes, keep going, keep building, keep teaching, keep remembering. That's all we ask. That's all we ever asked. Marcus sits in meditation that night, in his hotel room in Cairo, and he connects, not just with Kenti, with all the builders, across all time, all the souls who worked with stone, who understood cosmic principles, who knew that humans are capable of far more than modern culture admits. He sees them, feels them, knows them, and he knows he's part of something eternal, something that transcends individual lifetimes, something that serves human evolution across millennia. And he's grateful for remembering, for being part of this, for having the privilege of carrying ancient knowledge into the modern world, for being a bridge, for being proof, for being one of many who are waking up to who they really are and what they really capable of. If ancient structures call to you in ways you can't explain, if you know things about building in sound and moving massive stones that you were never taught, if you feel like you've done this before in another time, wearing different clothes, speaking different languages, maybe you were there too. Maybe you're carrying ancient knowledge in your soul's memory. Maybe you're one of the builders remembering. Subscribe to continue exploring the mysteries we carry from lives lived long before history was written.